Good evening. Your time now is 5:52. I'm Jeannette Reyes.
And I'm Ona Kosarabdi, and this is Off the Record.
Not for real. This is Off the Record.
Let's talk about friendships and maintaining friendships, because I feel like a lot of people have fallouts with their friends, or the opposite, they avoid confrontation. Is confrontation bad? Should you avoid it within friendships?
No, absolutely not. I mean, this was, I think, the biggest growth that I went through writing Platonic is like I would try to avoid the conflict and I would try to get over it myself. And I felt like, oh, me being a good friend is getting over it. But with my best friend, like a series of little things accumulated and I didn't want to hang out with her. And I was like, wow, like I might be losing one of the closest relationships because I'm not bringing up issues. And simultaneously, I was reading this research that people that engage in conflict in an empathic way actually experience more intimate relationships than people that don't. And this psychoanalyst, Virginia Goldner, says you could have this flaccid safety where you feel safe because no one brings up the issue, or this dynamic safety, rupture, repair, rupture, repair. And for the rest of the friendship, whenever there's an issue, you have this precedent of repair. And so it's just like, it almost protects the relationship in the long term. And so that really taught me that like actually being a good friend is bringing up problems so that you don't just withdraw, which feels really crummy to be on the other side of, because it's like, wow, this friend has held me guilty without giving me a chance to defend myself, really. And so, you know, even for me, when I confronted my best friend, it was like one of the things that I was upset about was like, I sent her a chapter of Platonic for her feedback and that she didn't respond. But then she was like, oh, I emailed you back. I was like, you emailed me back? And she was like, yeah, I think you might have missed the email.
So you were fighting ghosts.
Exactly.
Oh, man. It could just be as simple as miscommunication.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
crazy how many friendships go down because of miscommunication and not bringing up the issue.
Right.
How would you say your childhood and your other relationships, maybe in your upbringing, influence how you handle conflict resolution, if at all?
So much. So in Platonic, I really draw on this theory called attachment theory, which is this idea that in our early family relationships, we create this unconscious template for how people will respond to us that we carry throughout our lives. And it becomes truer than the truth, right? Like what we assume or what we suspect in a relationship. And so people that have a more insecure attachment where they didn't get their needs met in childhood, they tend to go into conflict with something called anger of despair, which means that I have no hope that this will go well. And so the only thing that I can do to like feel better is kind of like attack or put you down or vengeful or like withdraw, right? Whereas people that have that more secure childhood, they have learned that people care about my needs. And so they will engage in what's called anger of hope, which means I use my anger as a sign that I need to reconcile something with you. And so, you know, anger of despair looks like, you know, you're a bad friend, you suck. Anger of hope says, I miss you. I miss being close to you. And like, this is what I would need. And I want to figure out a way forward for us.
So the reason I went to 5 high schools is because I was badass. I kept on getting kicked out.
No.
Yeah. And it was just like, we can't do this.
Wait, you've never told me. I literally thought it was like your parents were, I was like, I thought you were moving.
Everybody thinks that. Everybody thinks either I was a military brat.
I used to fight all the time. These hands caught everybody.
But no, it was a lot of it was financial reasons. So I went to Masters Regional Academy. It was a Christian school in Rhode Island. Then I went to Cranston West then I went to Euclid High School in Ohio, like outside of Cleveland. Then I went to Shaker Heights High School for 2 weeks. So Euclid High School for a quarter, Shaker Heights for 2 weeks, Tollgate actually for like 2 quarters. That was a horrible experience. I would have lunch in the bathroom.
Oh no.
But like at Euclid, I was like the popular kid. And then Cranston West was where I graduated from.
That's rough. So you left, you had a going away party, people were chanting your name, and then all of a sudden now you're eating in the bathroom.
Girl, like it was just like anytime the lunch bell rang, I was like, well, time to go to my daily meeting in the bathroom stall.
Why was it so hard to make friends?
There was a lot of wealthy kids. It was like a rich part of Rhode Island in Warwick.
Yeah.
Very, very white. No one was mean to me, but you know how it is sometimes, right? When there's that like racial difference where it's like nothing has to be said. It's just they stay over there and you stay over here and you just don't feel like there's any opportunity to like whatever. So eventually like the theater kids took me in and we would like kick it, you know, during lunch and stuff like that. But that was probably, I will say it prepped me really well for news because you know how it is. You go to the middle of nowhere, USA.
Yeah.
And I was already used to being the new kid, to not knowing my surroundings, not knowing anybody. And you just figure it out. You adjust and you do what you have to do.
Oh no, I was depressed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like complete opposite. I was like, I don't belong here.
Because you went
from California.
Was it Lynchburg?
Yeah, I was obnoxious. Like they were like, okay, we get it. You're from California. Like, shut up. And I'm just like, where's the trader? I used to drive an hour and a half for Whole Foods, y'all.
Ma'am,
I was vegan for no reason because I just like was so used to eating healthy, and I'm like, I would protest because like I didn't eat fast food and that's all there was there, and I was just like, I'm gonna drive all the way to Charlottesville.
Not you being the stereotypical Californian.
It was bad. Wow. I had to be humbled. Yeah, it was a rough transition. Like I remember I was at a bonfire. My coworkers were nice enough to invite me, and I was like, we ran out of wood, or like the fire went out, and I was like, we're okay, like I guess we go home. And they're like, why? I was like, there's no more wood. They're like, man, there's a forest in the back. And I was like, oh, okay. Not used to this. But no, I could relate back to what you were talking about. I could relate because I felt like I was a year younger. I started school early.
Oh.
So I was always a year younger than everyone. And so I developed a lot later than everyone.
Okay.
Like I had a good girlfriend who, oh my God, bless her. But she was that girl that was like voluptuous.
Yeah.
In like the 8th grade, right? When you're like, okay, this is like a wall. And so one day I went to Limited 2. I had no business, but I was like, you know what? I want a bra. Like everyone's wearing a bra. I want a bra. So I bought this bra, and I would forget to wear it because I was like, I had nothing. So I finally was like, oh, I'm going to wear it. And I was just, I felt like on cloud 9. Tell me why. This is a good girlfriend of mine, so like no shade, but she was like, why are you wearing a bra? I was like, what? She was like, for what? Dying laughing for like 15 minutes. Like, why would you? And I was like, you know what? It's okay. Because the next summer I came back.
You were manifesting.
Yes.
That's what it was.
And I had a Victoria's Secret push-up.
Yo, those
there was still nothing there. But
God sends though. Oh my God.
With the padded.
Yes, but then the only thing was when you had to put on a bathing suit, your secret
You're
was
back.
out. But you had nothing.
That was Victoria's Secret.
It was like tickle bitties. It was like you ain't got nothing. What would you say is the most powerful thing, or the thing you love most about a girlfriend, that kind of friendship?
The cool thing about pageantry and Miss America and all that is there is a sisterhood. Like you do walk away with real, true friends, and literally going on a trip with them, with some forever miss at the end of the month, right? So it is like being in a sorority. Yeah. And one story that really struck me is I once, they had a Miss America come and meet with us. She was in her like 90s. And we asked her, all these years later, Miss America's been around for 100 years. So like, tell us about blah, blah. And the only thing that she really wanted to get across to us, she didn't talk about her year as Miss America. She didn't talk about her career and how it helped or impacted her career. She said that she was at the bedside of her runners-up when they passed, and that throughout her like Miss America class, like they were at each other's weddings. They were there for when each other's children were born. And then, you know, to come full circle, now that she's elderly, she has watched them pass away. She has held their hand while they passed away. And for many of them, it's because their spouse, you know, had preceded them in death. And it so struck me because I was like, that is womanhood. It has always been and it will always be. Struggle, it transcends culture. We stand together. We hold each other's hands through everything, for better or for worse, because no one understands the way that we do.
Yeah.
And that is my favorite thing about girlhood. There's this understanding you're going to be there.
Yeah.
And I joke with Tiffany all the time. I'm like, you're going to be holding my wrinkled hand. You know, you're going to be there.
Yeah.
And that's a really, really beautiful thing.
You and I had our butting of heads. I don't even know what it really was, to be honest with you, because it wasn't a falling out. There wasn't an argument.
I don't think it was important. Like it wasn't even about that. I think it was just like the first test that we had. And what I thought was interesting is it could have went a completely different way. Like I don't have big blowouts with my friends.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna curse anybody out. That's not my style. I'm just gonna be like, oh, acknowledged.
Right.
You'll just never hear from me again. Or I'll come to you, and if you're still defensive, then cool, I'm gonna leave you be. Cause it's not worth it. But I felt like you were being distant, and I could tell that something was wrong. And I also know you very well and know that you won't bring it up. Yeah. You'll just either push back or pull away.
Yeah.
or that's it, or we get over it. And I could sense that we weren't getting over it. And I don't even think I told you this, but like I had a henna party right before my wedding.
Yeah.
And you came and I was like, yo, like things are off. I could feel it.
Did you feel it? Because I did too.
Okay, which I thought you were gonna be like, really? What? No, it was really, like, it felt off. And at that point, I felt like I never brought it up to you.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna treat you any different or whatnot. And I remember being like, I have a responsibility to make her feel like she's included, to treat her like well.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about this at a later date. But I couldn't tell if you knew, if you remembered.
Yeah.
But I just remember it was like not.
And I don't think it's anything anybody would have picked up on or anything like that. One of the things that I have to work on in my friendships is I'm the kind of person where I'm not gonna have a blowout. I'm not gonna do the cussing out thing, none of that. But like I feel like when you confront something about something to someone that you're having a disagreement with, if you genuinely feel like, no, like this was wrong, if they don't apologize, or if they, I don't know, like for me, it's like if they apologize and they feel really bad, sometimes for some people having apologized, it changes the dynamic. Cause you know what I mean? Like some people apologizing to you, then they look at you like you're kind of like elevated, like it changes the dynamics in the relationships. Like I came to you and apologized and you accept, like they just kind of, they hold on to that.
Oh, so basically you're like, I ain't no bitch. Like you ain't gonna.
Right, like some people look at it that way. Like apologizing takes swallowing your pride, and it requires a lot of them. So they might do it in the moment, but it changes the dynamic in the relationship or the friendship. And then if they don't apologize, and it's like, well, I'm not gonna get past this. Like I feel like I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like this was wrong. So I just worry that discussing it is only going to worsen things. And that's something I need to work on. But I've always been like that. It's funny because in my marriage, I'm totally different. Like over communicate. If there's an issue, bring it up immediately. But in friendships, I'm that way.
I will say though, there is no difference because I became a better friend when I learned how to communicate in my relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because I learned, and it's interesting, and I want to know, are you saying from the person's perspective, like if you went to apologize, you felt like it changed the power dynamics, or if they apologize to you, do you feel like it changes the power dynamics?
You know what, I will admit, when someone apologizes, I also kind of feel bad. Like it's like, like it's not a win for me.
It wasn't that serious.
No, like like it literally, like it's not a win for me.
Yeah.
And then I also feel like the other person feels like this kind of change, like I came and apologized to you, and it changes the dynamic between us.
Which is kind of how I feel like I've always seen things, in the sense of I'm not gonna admit I'm wrong because now I'm the one who's in the wrong or whatnot. And I realized once I could say sorry in my relationship and realize it doesn't have to be a big deal. It's just, oh, I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry about that. And there's no but, right? I'm sorry, but you came at me crazy, you know what I mean? And just being okay and realizing that vulnerability is strength, then I could apologize in my friendships. Because I realize it's just about, hey, you know, this is my issue with you. And if you came to me and you said, oh, I felt disrespected. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel that way. And if I did, I'm so sorry about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny because in my relationship, Robert's really good at apologizing and taught me to apologize. Again, clearly in my relationships, this is like the norm. But to the point where I'll try to be like, you know how sometimes it's like, yo, like let's just settle into our feelings first, and then we'll discuss, and then we'll apologize. Yeah. And sometimes I get frustrated because it's like, yo, can I apologize first? Can you give me a second?
Because he's quick to apologize.
Because he's quick to apologize.
Oh,
and so I want to do it. So I say that to say I agree with you that there isn't a weakness in apologizing, but for some reason it's so different for me in a friendship, and I'm not sure why. Like, but I get what you're saying, especially in my marriage. Like, apologizing isn't a big deal. It doesn't feel like the other person won. And I certainly in my marriage, when he apologizes, doesn't feel like I got a W here. So I see what you're saying.